ballot box is supposed to be sealed and locked. You can't use duct tape to seal a ballot box.
We need to take a look at those numbers. Take a look at the official results. Compare the fact that Hillary Clinton is leading in the ones that they recounted.
This is what democracy looks like. Not Detroit's elections, but those who are fighting for the right to vote and the right to a vote that we can trust, which is accurate, secure, and just.
We have no reason to have inspiration in the integrity in this election.
Over 125,000 people contributed over $7 million in a matter of a week in order to make this recount happen, not just here in Michigan, but in Wisconsin and Pennsylvania as well.
We knew Detroit was going to be a hot mess when up to 60% of the precincts were going to be unrecounted. Precinct 152, 307 votes on the poll book, 307 votes on the tabulation, only 50 ballots in the ballot box.
Wow.
Hot mess. That's just Detroit. Okay, maybe you'd say, well, you'd expect Detroit to be disorganized. Well, wait a minute. No, we're not going to take that as an excuse because some people have that racist idea that, blacks are incompetent or corrupt or both, and so they can't get an election right. Well, if that's the case, then Chocolate City is going to be bad and vanilla suburbs are going to be okay. Hot mess. Well, there was a race to the bottom on day 2 because they shut Wayne County down after day 2. And we have Garden City, which should be Hot Mess City, as number 2, Dearborn as number 3. But the biggest hot mess was Gibraltar when the ballot box is supposed to be sealed and locked. You can't use duct tape to seal a ballot box. So Wayne County is a hot mess. Well, if that's the only county of Michigan's 83 counties is a hot mess, then maybe you'll get outside of Wayne County. Ionia County, they used a garbage can as the ballot box.
Oh my God, thanks for securing my ballot.
But that's the hot mess. That's called Michigan's right to vote. And they shut down the recount, and that's supposed to inspire confidence in our elections. We have no election integrity in Michigan. And if Michigan is any indication of what's going on in the rest of this country, we have no reason to have inspiration in the integrity in this election. They shouldn't have certified it. How can they certify it if we can't recount it? How did you count it the first time around? So Michigan is a flaming hot mess.
I believe the recount should have went through. That way, just so that people can have clarity, because there are people out there that feel as though that their vote does not matter, that their voice doesn't matter. And I think given the circumstances and the problems and the issues that we found were indicative of that.
I really don't mind a recount other than it's fleecing the taxpayers of Michigan out of money. I don't have a problem with the recount because I don't think it's going to change a thing.
35% were actually recounted by hand. Can't just pull the plug right now. Likely Hillary Clinton would be the winner in Michigan. She's already ahead in the ones they've recounted. How can Trump take it? Only be in the uncountable. The uncountable precincts are the ones that they fixed the election, and then they made them so they would never be recounted, and therefore their fix would be covered up.
That's right.
This is the cover-up. They have a recounting law in place that does more to cover up than to recount. Now we have to wonder, why are they suppressing those precincts and making them uncountable if she's that far ahead?
We need to count every vote and make sure that every vote counts. And that means we have to put an end to this de facto Jim Crow election system. That is why Detroit is a hot mess.
Yeah.
Because this dysfunction in our elections flows downhill. It flows to communities that do not have resources in our schools, but do not have resources in our ballot places, in our elections departments, so that the equipment that is used is prone to break. It's likely to break. And it's not just these 87 scanners that failed in Detroit on election day. This is not the exception. What the U.S. Civil Rights Agency tells us is that this actually is the rule, not the exception. And in fact, they said that if you live in a community of color, the odds of your vote getting misread or going unread or being thrown into the garbage can is actually increased 900%, that your vote is going to be basically thrown away. And in an election where we started out knowing that there were these 75,000 blank votes that didn't have a recording in the presidential slot, it was a red flag to start with. This is a sky-high number, far higher than anything that has ever been seen before in the state, and really raised questions. And when we tried to answer those questions, you see what we got. We asked, do we have a voting system we can trust? If Hillary Clinton had stepped up to the plate and had not basically thrown in the towel here, then if she had filed for a recount, she would have been acknowledged by the court. They said that I didn't have standing because I wasn't going to win. Well, actually, I think that actually gives me a lot of standing, because I don't have a skin in this game except what we all have in this game. All of us are at risk. But Hillary Clinton could have done it with the existing flawed laws. She could have assured the people of Michigan that you can have confidence in this vote, or maybe you can't. But she could have found out, and she didn't. And this is about standing up for all of us. Going forward, we're going to keep up the fight. We may be moving out of the court of law, but we're moving into the court of public opinion. And public opinion is that we deserve a democracy. And there are many steps to that democracy. We see a lot of voter suppression in this preferential failure of voting infrastructure, preferential failure in oppressed communities. So voter suppression is happening in the counting or the not counting of the vote, but voter suppression also happens before you even get to the voting place. Millions of voters. And I want to give a shout out here for Greg Palast, who's done so much to help draw attention and shine daylight on the incredible obstruction of the right to vote, particularly through this thing called interstate crosscheck, that essentially can wipe your name off the voter rolls just because you happen to have a common last name among Latinos or among African Americans. It's absolutely unjust and outrageous, and it's believed to have prevented potentially millions of people from voting.